What's going on, Colts Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you are doing well. I am doing great. It's a beautiful day out after some rain a little bit earlier, but Indianapolis Colts camp was beautiful today, and the Colts back for their third official practice here today. There's a lot of cool information that did happen today. Some positive stuff, definitely when it comes to the offense and the quarterbacks, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. But, obviously with the quarterback situation, we'll stay right there for a second. We knew that, coming into training camp, Anthony Richardson might be a little bit limited early on, right? Because he obviously had that re-aggravation of his throwing shoulder, earlier in the spring. He was cleared to go, but we thought, okay, the first week or two, he might have a little bit of that load management, right? And it definitely seemed like today was a little bit more of that direction. From what people were saying out there, he did have a few less snaps, than some of these quarterbacks, which is to be expected. And so it was Daniel Jones starting with the offense on 11 on 11s. But Anthony Richardson did eventually get into the game. And from everybody was saying, this was definitely his best training camp practice so far. They're saying he did really, really good. He had some really good connection with some of his guys, especially Tyler Warren, the rookie tight end. So definitely great to see that Anthony Richardson and Tyler Warren are already starting to build that rapport with each other. I mean, that's hopefully a combination that's going to be around for a while, but certainly great to see that, and great to see Tyler Warren continuing to stand out so far through practice and everything like that. And obviously we think he's going to get a lot of targets this year. He's going to be that security blanket for either Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. So certainly positive stuff there. One thing that Anthony Richardson said, I don't know if Derek talked about this yesterday, but Anthony Richardson is down to 240 pounds. So he has dropped a decent amount of weight, and in order to try to maybe be in a little bit better shape, protect himself a little bit more. So that's definitely great stuff there. A couple guys who weren't practicing today, Javarius Ward, Mo Alley Cox, and Samson Ebukam. I think they were all just rest. I don't think there was any injury that came up. They just gave them the day off, all these veterans here. And you got to see, different guys out there as starters. Obviously, Justin Wally, who's been a starter from day one here in camp, he continues to shine, continues to play well. And, you got a couple other guys, obviously. Juju Brents has gotten some action. Kenny Moore was back today. I'm curious what Jalen Jones's role looks like here moving forward, because he really hasn't got a ton of runs so far, which is kind of fascinating to me. With the ones, at least, he hasn't. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But one thing that I said on Twitter, and I guess I'll say it here as well, something that I think is really interesting about this defense and what the Colts are doing now is obviously we know the change in, personnel. I mean, you knew that, you're adding some real legitimate talent. You added some, new coaches on that staff, pretty much an entirely new coaching staff. So a lot of things are different this year from where they were last year from a schematical standpoint. We know with Gus Bradley's defense, it was pretty much your guys versus our guys, 11 on 11. We're not going to change anything up. It's pretty bland. We hope the offense will make a mistake, that sort of thing. And obviously we saw Colts defense has been awful the last couple of years under Gus Bradley. So you factor in Lou Anarumo and this new defensive coaching staff. They're going to be a little bit more multiple. They're going to be a lot less predictable. They're going to do some things to really challenge quarterbacks. I mean, we saw Lou Anarumo at his peak when he played, with the Cincinnati Bengals. They were able to really shut down some really elite quarterbacks. So you definitely think that is a positive thing for this offense because, you hear the old, saying iron sharpens iron all the time, right? Let's face it, under Gus Bradley, iron was not sharpening iron. It just maybe to some degree, but not to the degree that I think it is so far this year. And I think it's just going to be so beneficial for these quarterbacks to be able to play against legitimate, defensive schemes, legitimate players, Javarius Ward, when he's out there, Cam Bynum, you still have guys like Kenny Moore and some of these other corners as well, who I'll talk about here in a second when I talk about Justin Wally. But all that to say, I really think it's going to be helpful for these quarterbacks whenever they get out there in week one, and they have to actually play against legitimate defenses in the NFL. So I think that iron sharpening iron thing really will help. And great to see Anthony Richardson after having some kind of days really bouncing back today. And you're hopeful that can continue and he can grow in this training camp playing against this Colts defense. That's a lot more multiple. That's a lot more, I don't want to say mad scientists, because I don't think that's the right term, but they're willing to take a few more risks out there than Gus Bradley's defense was. And they're willing to challenge and stress out offenses a little bit more. I heard Kenny Moore on, I believe it was the Fan Morning Show on the start of training camp on Monday. And one thing that he said was, we are just a lot more reactive than proactive. I mean, that's just the case with this Colts defense, right? They are so much more proactive. We're going to be the hammer, not the nail. We are going to do things that are going to make the offense, try to counter us instead of us reacting to the offense all the time. That's what we saw with Gus Bradley in this defense. And even at times, Matt Eberflus back in the day, although it wasn't as bad there. So now you have a defense that's going to try to dictate a little bit more. And I think from a quarterback standpoint and an offensive standpoint, it's going to challenge the offense a lot more this year in training camp and, in practices and everything like that. And I think that's just going to make everything better on the offense, and honestly probably expose some more issues with this offense that maybe weren't exposed because of how poor the defense was a year ago from a schematical standpoint, and also some lack of talent, and proven talent at that. So that was a little bit of a side tangent there, but I just thought that was interesting, when talking about this defense. And it's going to force quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones to really have to be, on their A game a lot more, because they're not just going to give them these easy looks. But anyway, let's continue on kind of talking about a few other things. I mentioned the whole thing with Justin Wally. And this is so fascinating because, Charvarius Ward had some really, really good things to say about Justin Wally, like some really good things. I'll actually pull up the quote here from what he had to say about him. Okay, he said, he being Wally has shown me he can be a dog. He can cover real well. I think he's got it in him. He's got that it factor in him. He's confident in himself. He's not scared. I've been proud of him so far. So obviously that's pretty high praise from the former All-Pro Charvarius Ward, who knows what it looks like to play at the highest level, already heaping on the praises for rookie third-round pick Justin Wally. Hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. But we've heard all about Justin Wally, and we've made videos on him and talked about him at length now. But it's really encouraging to see Justin Wally so far with how many corners there are, and talented corners at that. Justin Wally has already started to rise above some of the rest of the guys, which is definitely interesting there. But definitely some high praise there from Charvarius Ward when it comes to Justin Wally. A few other things here that I'll kind of talk about as well. So, yeah, guys, that really does it here for Indianapolis Colts training camp recap, day number 3. The great news is the offense looked a lot better, and it seems like every day the offense has started to look a little bit better each day. And Anthony Richardson, clearly the best quarterback today. Tyler Warren continuing to impress. Justin Wally continuing to impress. And that is something that I've said, you need this rookie class to have a big impact here in year number 1. And so far through training camp, you have 2 guys who are really impressing. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below when it comes to looking at training camp number 3, Anthony Richardson playing well, and some of these rookies playing well also. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell. I know some people have said they've gotten some content. They either don't see it or it doesn't show up on their feed. So be sure to turn on that notification bell so that you get notified when we drop fresh content just like this. And guys, the good news is Colts football is just getting started. So you guys should definitely stay with us and tune in to everything that we have moving forward. We got you covered for training camp, preseason, regular season, off season. You guys want to be a part of this. Thanks, guys, so much. We really do appreciate it. And as always, guys, go Colts.